My name is Matt, and I will be talking to Khaled Souf about industry dynamics and continuous learning and adaptation.
Hey, Khaled, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you here. I mean, first time in Geneva. We just recently talked that the vibe is interesting. That it's more of a French city, right?
Yes, it's actually like, the Genevan people, they will not like what I say, but usually we say that Geneva is part of France, not of Switzerland, because of the way they work and for many other reasons. So Switzerland start after Geneva.
I haven't known that, so it's a good thing. And we are here to discuss the tech stuff in general. We already had some discussion, and I have to stop you because you have so many interesting stories, to be honest. And like what caught my attention when I look at your profile and we discussed the potential podcast before, it's like you are, I would say, around 20 years in tech, right? Already.
Well, not like more than 15 years.
More than 15 years, okay. And you have, because you work as a consultant, so you have a lot of experiences. So when I check the LinkedIn, there's like a number of 36 experiences, which is like more or less different positions, different companies that you consulted. So you have a lot of stories that I would love to hear today.
Yeah, I'm what we call a nomad, so it's like I'm always switching, and with these years it's become even more hectic because sometimes I can have like 2 to 3 customers in a week. So
Okay.
so it's more and more, and like to the mandate, they are smaller and smaller. So it's like I can stay like for a few weeks, sometimes it's for months for customer, but most of the case less than a year. So I'm always switching.
So nice. So you have been there, done that, have seen a lot of things probably in your life. And one thing that stuck in my mind when we talk, you work for one company in Canada, and we were discussing scaling teams, scaling products. And you told me like really interesting story and your lessons learned based on that, on scaling the product or scaling the technology behind the product. So maybe could you elaborate on that?
Yes. So what happens is actually I joined that team as we tailored actually a mandate for myself. So it's like I've been discussing with one of the manager about the issues that they have, and I told him, okay, these subjects are actually mainly I can help you with that. So we started with this subject. One of them is actually migrating the, let's say, the main e-commerce applications to a new cloud provider for different reasons. And in the middle of that migration, well, they told me that actually Black Friday and Cyber Monday is coming. So let's stop that. Let's pass that, let's say, big wave of customers coming to the website and then buying a lot of stuff, and then we can go there. So what I discovered with the ops that were there, that when we've been working, we checked the traffic of the few years back. We discovered that the traffic in these days is like 500% than, let's say, a classical day. So we needed to prepare that. We checked also what are the applications that gonna be solicited and mainly working more than the others, so we can know which one should be scaled and which one they shouldn't be. And we've prepared the work because you already have infrastructure as code, so it's like changing the infrastructure is easy, and we can keep it as it is. So what we did is like we said, okay, if you need to scale, you can't use what we call the automatic scale stuff that you can find in cloud. Why? Because it's already too late. The time that need to prepare virtual machines or maybe virtuals, let's say deploy application, we're gonna lose something if we do that. So what we did is actually said, okay, we know for sure at midnight we're gonna have that. So let's prepare the day before. We're gonna prepare instances. We're gonna prepare like already the application, and then after the Cyber Monday, we're gonna shut them down. because let's say, it's very specific. I will not like buy a virtual machine for 3 years or for 6 months. I know for sure that I have like 2 days so I need to scale only for these 2 days. Let's say even I included also the weekend, because you have Black Friday, you have then Saturday, Sunday, and then the Cyber Monday. So what we said, okay, let's scale it for 4 days. We're gonna stay on site for that weekend. They're gonna pay us for that for sure. And well, we did it, and it works just fine because we already have information how much is gonna be the traffic, and that's cool. Also, we've made a lot of alerts, so we can know if it attains a certain level, we can then maybe add more machines in that. So that's why we've been there. So everybody was checking, and it was really nice. This is one type of scaling. This is the scaling that you have like multiple users that is coming up, and you try to scale for an event or something. It happens a lot, especially when people are buying for holidays, for Christmas. This happens a lot for like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Usually it's like what they buy is actually for Christmas. And then there is other type of scaling. So the other type of scaling is, let's say, okay, we have a market and we try to scale the product to multiple countries. This is a different type of scaling. This one needs a different thing. So one of them is actually, most of the time you're going to need to readapt your application, extract the one that are actually common, the part that are actually common, and try to figure it out, the specific one for the country. And then you create some kind of contracts, let's say, of these specific parts, and every time you have a new country, you need to implement it. This is in the code side. When we go to the deployment side, what happens is actually we say, okay, some people, they're going to tell you, okay, let's do one application for all, multi-tenant, multi-countries. Well, usually I don't agree with that. Why? Because it doesn't make sense that somebody in France need to use the application. He's going to call the website that actually in the United States. And especially, and also it's a risk, because if the application is shut down for in USA, everything is shut down in every country. So in my opinion, the best way is like taking that application, deploying a new instance not far away, and even better if it is deployed in the country itself, if there is a region for that, if there is like a place in the cloud provider. So it can be not far away from customers. We can manage the traffic because we know how much we're going to have traffic for that country. And in the same time, it's completely independent. So it's like when we deploy a version, it depends on the country. The drawback for this type of solution is the common part. So when you try to upgrade or update or maybe add new features for the common part, you need to deploy them country by country. So one of the things that I prefer in this side is like using feature flapping, feature toggling. So we can like, for the common part, we can like activate, deactivate certain feature, and then activate them in the other country if the country is already like, let's say, we already prepared everything for that, and we do it slowly. I'm not a big fan of Big Bang. I always try to do things slowly because in my opinion, something that is already working in production need to be evolved, not we don't need to redo it. It doesn't make sense. It's already making money, so.
Makes sense. So I assume you don't deploy on Friday very often.
Well, yes. I prefer deploying on Monday. Or I prefer deploying when there is less traffic and we have people for the next 2 to 3 days so we can manage the issue. So it's like Wednesday, it's a good day. Thursday and Friday, they are not like the best one to choose. Monday is the best one. You start the journey with like a big thing like that, and depending on the context, on the traffic, like I told you, sometimes when you work in e-commerce, usually when you deploy, you try to deploy, you check how much is used the application, and then you try to figure it out, the time that nobody is using it, or maybe less people. You communicate on that, what we call a change management. Like you communicate about the new feature that is coming up, and then you say that we will not be available from that hour to that hour. And for that hour, for these area of hours, nobody gonna use, or maybe little of people, like 2 or 3, or maybe less, or maybe even nobody. So there you can manage the risk. And this is the thing. So if there is a risk, there is like multiple ways to do it. Solve it if you can. If you can't solve it, you try to manage it. And this is one way of managing the risk of actually deploying.
And talking about the risk, we discussed really interesting thing. To be honest, I haven't heard it before from my guests in the podcast. You mentioned the term of chaos engineering.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. So this is actually a thing that I discovered. So it's like when Netflix was like the only platform that is existing and everybody was talking about, they have like very interesting way to deploy in production. One of the things, they were using microservices, but now everybody knows that microservices, there is like trade-offs on that. We can go back to that. But the idea that I liked what they do is like, there is a story about a whole region that shut down of Amazon in United States, but Netflix still working. And mainly at that time, Netflix was only on Amazon. Right now they are polycloud, that's different. So everybody was looking, how do they do it? What they actually did is they have something that they call like tools that they call Chaos Monkey, or the 12 monkeys for the list of all the tools. And what these tools do is like they go to production and they shut down services. And then from there, the engineers, the ops, the devs, they're gonna try to figure it out how the system behave in a degraded mode and try to manage that risk. Like usual. So when you can't avoid the risk, you try to manage it. And one of the tools that comes from that is like what we call circuit breaker, for example. It's like when you have an exception or an error in microservice, you try not to propagate it to other service. And you try to have like some kind of cache. So when somebody is calling, he get the last information, even when the service is not available. This is one of the solutions they figured out by using chaos engineering. So the idea of chaos engineering is like, let's shut down like a random service and see how the system is behaving so we can make it behaving in a way that keeps working even if it is in a degraded mode.
And you mentioned the microservices, so microservices versus monolith, and you meant because like this paradigm is changing over the last years, everybody was talking about the microservices, and I think like this or last year, the people are starting changing the approach. So what are your thoughts here?
Okay, so the thing about microservices is like we started with the hype, so everybody is going there, but the thing is, when you are a CTO or an architect or somebody who have a technical vision, we understand and we know for sure that everything is coming with two things. It's coming with benefits, and there is always drawbacks. And at that time, people were focusing on benefits. Like, let's split it in small modules, let's split it in a small service, and then it's easy to deploy, it's easy to undeploy, and the risk is actually mitigated. But the truth is not that. First thing is like, it's simpler for developers to do it, but it brings multiple switch context. It brings also a lot of complexity on the ops side, because you need to deploy like 100 services, microservices or something. So you need to create some kind of strategy so you can provision that as fast as possible. and also with all the resources, you need to industrialize that. So there is a lot of work to do. So this is one of the things. The other thing also is like when you try to trace back something that is coming from the customer, it's very hard. So you need to centralize that in some place so you can trace back all the, let's say, what happens when there is an issue. Because it's not easy to figure out the issue when you have multiple places that you need to check. So you need some place to do that. This is one thing. So now the other and the biggest problem, in my opinion, is like people tend to go to microservice very early when they don't understand their business. What I recommend usually is like we go to a monolith, we stabilize the business side. Usually, like I'm a big fan, and also I have a knowledge on domain-driven design. So what I go is like monolith, and then you go to modular monolith, so you can split it in small modules. And then, if there is a reason to scale, especially if you need to scale that part, then you extract it as a microservice. So what I prefer is like going to something hybrid between monolith and microservice. But you need always to check if the business need it. We always go to the same stuff. People tend to go to the technical solution without looking to the business need. Always looking to the business need. And this is actually the role of CTO. He need to understand exactly what the business need. He need to be with the business so he can translate that in a technical vision. If he can't do that and he goes with the hype, it doesn't make sense actually. There will be like a big wall between the business and the technical side. Let's be frank about that. Without the business, we don't have jobs as a techies. So we need to understand that everything that we learn, tools, techniques, anything that we learn in tech is actually something that can be helpful to the business people so they can bring value to the world. This is how I see it. And this is the point of that the CTO need to be the pillar for that, for the team.
I think what you're saying, I absolutely agree with that 110%. At the same time, I have a feeling that to become like a good leader, good CTO and listen to the business, it's the same as you, I don't know, have you played any instrument in the past?
Well, no.
Okay, but the example is like usually when people start to playing guitar, they start to do like a hard solos, like really difficult stuff, like adding a lot of effects, a lot of different guitars. But when they are experienced, they use one guitar, they play just a few notes, then don't use a lot of stuff because they play what is needed for the song, right? To be like value added. So the same is with the role of the CTO. Like you need to check different stuff and then come back to the fundamentals, right?
The best song that you hear, usually it's like one voice and maybe one instrument like an acoustic guitar or something. These are the best songs that you hear. And usually people, they tend to go to their then multiple instrument with a lot of stuff.
It's exactly. So the next question that I want to ask, I'm just always wondering, after so many years and experiences that you have got, what was the toughest experience that you have got and how this shaped you?
Well, there is a lot of them. So I can, because I'm a consultant, so I have a lot of tough, let's say, experiences. But one of them is actually, I remember that I worked with a team with two seniors. I was a junior at that time. And this is actually one of the first experience that I've seen. And they were actually perfect jerks. They were like rock stars or something. And that actually made me realize that I told myself, when I get to that level experience, I will not be like them. And actually, I hope that's the case. You never know. Somebody is actually good to somebody, can be jerk for some people. So, but I'm trying to not to go there. But what I'm trying to say is like, I was at that time, I was junior. So when I asked for help, I never get it. But now I'm actually when somebody needs help, even if it's something like basic, and sometimes some people they're gonna tell you, hey, go to Google or something, I will tend to help them first and then tell them that before going back to me, these are the steps they need to go. Like they need to do that. Then when they arrive in that step and they don't find the solution, then they can get back to me so we can make the time more efficient for both of us. And it's a learning experience for them. So it's like it's easier, when people learn something by themselves, they tend to not forget it. And that's actually a way of work. And this is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And this is something very, very interesting in tech industry right now. There is a lot of people with 1 year multiplied by 10. But there is a few people with 10 years of experience. So what I'm trying to say is like the one that 1 year they are repeating the same year. They are not like trying to learn something new to improve themselves and to go beyond that. For those who have 10 years of experience, usually they are people to tend to know. What happens is actually the one that have 1 year experience, they develop what they call knowledge. So they know how it works for that language, for that specific context. But if they go outside of the context, they're going to switch back. But for those who have 10 years of experience, they develop mechanism to learn new things. And especially, that in the tech industry, it's moving too fast. So you need to develop some kind of ways so you can learn fast things and you can understand faster than most of the people these things, especially when you get old, So the thing is, there is like, going to conference, having a network of people that you can ask for the best resources that you can start with. Also reading yourself books on the tech side and also outside of the tech side, especially if you are working with business, trying to understand how the other people working, behaving, especially when you take a big role, role of leader, especially in the tech side, you need to understand how the business think, how the marketing think, how the sales actually think, and try to figure it out how you can make everything is actually working for them, because they are your customers by the end of the day. And also they give you feedback. And this is actually the most important part, because like anything, you need feedback. You need to create that feedback loop which actually can give you, so you can understand your customers, and from there you try to build something between you and the business. I'm not talking about process. I'm talking even in the business vision. In my opinion, a CTO can give his feedback or say, okay, let's go to that way. Let's try that because that's easier. And then we check how the customer behave for that. It's like when you are dealing with people as customers, we need to understand that it can go different than what you think in your head, Like you can give a product that you say it will not work, and then at some point you understand that that product's actually worked well for customer. One of the stories that I can give you is like about Slack actually. Slack, when they started, they were a gaming company. They created games. What happens is actually in these games they created that channel so the people can talk between each other. And now the game is actually completely gone, and they switched their business to go completely on that side, and it's working very well. So this is one of the stories that somebody who is actually listened to the customer, he understands that the main business area, it's not actually the game itself. It doesn't work for the games. It works actually for the other side. Like a few days back, I was discussing also with some person. I will not disclose the thing, but we were discussing they are moving to different stuff, and they are using AI for something, and they discovered that, and they tried using for another, let's say another way, and they discovered that the other way is actually more interesting to the customer than the first one. So they completely ditched it. And this is actually one of the biggest advice that I can give to startup. Listen to your customer. see where actually you bring value, and see where they think, where the customers see the value. Sometimes if you are too focusing on, okay, this is the value in your head, and you don't listen to the customer, well, it doesn't make sense. If somebody doesn't want to buy your product, you can't force them to do. But you can change your product to the needs that he have. So you need to listen to him and get as much as possible feedbacks about that. That's why there is a lot of surveys. There is a lot of things that usually companies do, so they can get the feedback as much as possible.
Yeah, I think being client-centric, like especially in this age when there's like a huge competition, like there is so many solutions like coming live. I heard one story what changed my mind recently. 2 years ago or last year, I was in Tel Aviv with my co-founder, and we do those podcasts as we are doing now. And he was talking with one guy. I don't know if those was podcasts or maybe outside, but the guy sold a company. He's like filthy rich, and he's starting another company. And he's telling about the process, that what he's doing. And he said like his goal is to talk with 70 people. He has like a customer interview. Like he's doing customer development. He has a set of questions, and the first thing that he's doing, he said like, I need to talk with the potential clients, and he's doing his on his own, right? So like you need to go to those basics, and like I got really inspired by him, so I started to talk a lot with the people, like to save those data and then to discuss with my team. And I think being client-centric, it's like a hyper important lesson.
That's completely true, and that's the thing. The next thing. So going especially to that topic. So when you get the feedback, usually it's a data, right? And we are in the era of the data. So it's like I can go in multiple. Like if we are talking about AI right now, what AI needs is actually two things. So you can build an AI. You need a model, and you need data. And that's for sure. If you don't have good data, and then usually you use data to optimize your model, and that's it. Actually, this is the thing that maybe many people, they don't understand how actually AI is behaving. AI is actually a computing probability system. So what they have is like when you ask something, especially in ChatGPT, for example, when you say, how are you, he's going to check and say for the how are you, what are the most probable, let's say, answer that he can give for that. It's not really as smart as people they think. It's actually doing that, and people sometimes they tend to fix it in some places because sometimes he doesn't say the right thing. And this is the thing. AI doesn't give you the right answer. It gives you the most possible one. And this is really very important. So I'm talking about the AI right now. I don't know in 10 years or in 5 years how it will work. This is one thing that I understood, and actually like it make my life easier, because sometimes I don't trust it. I like when I'm working with ChatGPT, sometimes it says something that's completely wrong, and I tell ChatGPT, hey, this is wrong actually, what you told. And he say, oh, I'm sorry, and all that. So this is thing that you need to understand about the limits of AI. But we are in the era of data. If you have data, a created one, it's something that can be used for different ways. One of them is actually collecting feedback is going to be as form as data. And the other thing that also I've seen in data, right now we are starting seeing data as a product. Like what I'm trying to say is like, usually when you build application, now is actually most of them, they offer also an API or something to expose their data so it can be used by the internal system that you have. So you can build something from that. It can be AI, it can be statics, it can be like I told you about the traffic. Like how do you know that the traffic is actually in Black Friday and Cyber Monday is actually 500%? We have data on that. So everything is based on data, and data is your feedback, especially when you work with these kind of big application, B2C, and you have like, it's not easy to talk directly to the customer. If you have 1 million, it's not easy, you know. You're gonna take maybe few of them, 100, 200, but that's all. But more than that, you're gonna need data on that. The other also thing that I've seen is like we talk about open data. Sometimes you have data that you can exploit for yourself to use it to build some kind of product on that. So this is where we live. So the next thing I think is like AI. We're gonna have AI with more iterated data. The only issue that I see right now, and I think is going to be solved soon, and that's why actually I will explain a lot of stuff that's happening. The issue with AI right now is actually taking a lot of computing, so you need a lot of resources, and that's why NVIDIA action is like they skyrocket the.
I read today that the value of NVIDIA, it's like it's more today than the whole stock market in Germany right now.
Yeah, because of AI. And if you hear also their CEO or their CTO talking, they are pushing for AI. Why? Because their business is actually based on that. Yeah, so, and that's completely normal. And even now I heard that Elon Musk is actually started building his company, the XAI, who is actually trying to be a concurrent to OpenAI. And first thing is actually a big contract with NVIDIA. So yeah, and it's the same also for cloud providers like Amazon or like Google. First thing when they start to build an AI, they ask for resources, and today the biggest one is actually NVIDIA. So
they are so lucky because like during the gold rush, the people that make most money out of the gold rush are the people that selling the shovels, right?
Yeah,
not who are digging the gold. And before they had the Bitcoin and the miners, right? And now they have the AI, which is like, but it's unbelievable how the company is going.
Yeah, so you bring it like a very interesting subject that I'd like to go to. Is like, in my opinion, usually when you have a technology that is starting, you need to wait until it matures, the usability or the usage of that. And then from there, you can start benefit from it. What I'm trying to say is like, if you go to blockchain, so the first thing is actually cryptocurrency, then NFT. In my opinion, these are only the first steps. We're gonna maybe in the future we're gonna have a third one or maybe a fourth one use case that is gonna be more. Let's say benefits than these first cases. These one are only the first cases of blockchain. Why I'm trying to say that? Because usually the first use case and the second one they are killed at some point. But maybe it's still my opinion. But we will see in the future how it happens. Why I'm saying that? Because it was the same with microservices. Microservices actually the first technology that is built on that was called Vertex. Vertex is actually like nobody is using it right now, but now people they are using the tools that were built by Netflix, for example, in the Java stack, like Eureka, like the circuit breaker. I don't know, I forgot the names of the tools, but what I'm trying to say, when a concept happens and is created, the first user is actually, most of the case, it will not survive a lot. You need to wait 2 to 3 to 4 years until we have like other cases, other use cases, and these, most of the case, they're going to survive. The AI is the same. We got a hype right now, but at some points it's going to be converging to very specific users. One of the users that I see right now is like, Google is actually, they make a lot of money from the search engine, right? I think part of that market, or maybe even the whole market of that, gonna be switched to the AI. Because right now, the people, when they do a search in Google, they search for specific information. And usually that information is actually not treated, not like you need to process it as a person and then take what it should be taken. That thing is actually already done when you ask ChatGPT or you ask any AI that is existing. It's still not perfect, that's for sure, but we are going there. It's going to take some time, but we are going there. Yeah, so we switch it to the AI. Sorry about that.
No, that's a really interesting topic. I don't know if you know this book, Crossing the Chasm, like adaptation of the users. They're like, you have the innovators at the very beginning, right? And then it's going up, like the chart. So I think this is the similar case. It reminds me when I was starting the company, the brainhub, the agency that I have, like in 2016, we started as a JavaScript, like best JavaScript team, right? And JavaScript back then, it was just starting and growing. We set the bet on React, on Node, and it was just a start, right? And when with the adaptation was higher and the libraries, frameworks, they were going, like having more users and bigger corporations are using it. So there were more tools, more demand, right? But at the same time, as I don't know if you remember, but number of frameworks and libraries that were competitors to those technologies, and everything, like with the JS at the very end, like each day you have like a 3 different new things, right? And the developers, they want to build the stuff with the new things because this is exciting. But at the same time, if you're working with the company which has established on the market, you cannot like go and say like all in into new concepts, right? Like in a completely new tools, libraries, because you cannot predict what will happen, if this will survive in 2 years, right?
It's in the market, so it's like people tend to forget that we are in what we call a new science. It's still a new science. The tech industry is still a new science. So it's not like mechanical engineering or like let's say civil engineering or something like who is actually been there for thousands of years. You know, we've been there like maybe for 50 years or something. So we tend to it's going fast. It's gonna stabilize at some point. That's for sure. I hope not, because if it's still there, we still have work to do. But yeah, that's the thing that let's say exciting and exhausting in the same way, in the same place. You know, what is cool about our let's say there is always new stuff that you need to learn, and what is exhausting is like you need to do that all the time. It's like people, they are reading newspaper. I think most of the techies, me including myself, usually our newspaper is like looking into what happens in the tech today. Which startup is actually going up, where we are going, what are the techniques that we use right now, what that company who actually successful use as a process and how they build that process. And we always tend to do that, and this is actually also a big issue for most of CTOs. So how do we keep up with all of that? Well, one thing that I do is like I can't keep up with everything myself. So what I need to do is like I keep up with which I can keep up, and then I share it with some other people who is actually in the same state as me. And the same goes for others. And then when you have that network, this is what I call, maybe what most of the people call collective intelligence or something. So it's like you bring a lot of people, even if not all of them are smart, or maybe not nobody is actually smart. When they are together, they're smart actually, because they are sharing knowledge, they are sharing techniques, they try different things, and then so that's why when you are talking about CTOs, it's very, very important to be in a community of CTOs or maybe a community of techies, so you can keep up with that, and you can like check how to do things, how happens, and then and that's actually pretty cool in tech, because most of people that they are in tech, they are by default, in my opinion, they are people who tend to share a lot what they discover, and that's good actually. I hope it's the same in the other industry.
I think like exchanging knowledge is the one thing, but for me as a co-founder, I talk a lot with my competitors from all around the world, all like the leaders from the disciplines that I'm interested in, right? But I'm doing it not only to exchange the knowledge, but even for the mental health, because like as a leader, you are alone. Like you have a feeling that you are alone and you are alone with the problem. But apparently, when you talk with other leaders, they have the same problem at the same time. So it's like even good for the mental health to be in touch with them.
Because, like you said, it's very good for the mental health. And also, you figured out that you are not the only one facing these kind of problems. And that's actually pretty cool because everybody has a way to solve them. And you can, from that, you can develop your own way based on the experience of the others. One other thing that I tend to say is like some people, like I told you about the 10 years of experience, and between 1 multiplied by 10 and the 10 years, usually the people that have 10 years of experience, when I say it's like it's figure of speech, it's like can be 10, 20, 30, they tend to have people around them in the same mindset so they can keep up about what happens in the industry. So they have 10 years of experience, but in reality, with all the accumulated knowledge that they have, they tend to behave like somebody who has 30 years of experience because of all the experience that they accumulated from the others. And the same also, when I say that, the same also goes for their peers because it's the same. They are doing the same stuff. And that's actually pretty cool because you can, especially, and this is an advice for junior developer or for junior tech, if you are in these kind of communities, you're going to grow faster than somebody who is not in these kind of communities. And these people tend to go to be successful in what they do. And this is actually one of the questions that I remember, how to be successful. I think you need to be around people who is actually positive, in the same mindset, and working in the same field, like I told about the mental health and all the stuff. And in the same way, you can have multiple vision about the same. This is a glass of water. Somebody is gonna say the full the full glass of water. Somebody else is gonna say the empty that is in the glass. So, and it's very interesting because it's two visions. So you need to understand there is other vision than yourself.
I have a similar concept. I call it like outsourcing of decision making. So I always think like I have my opinion, but I always before like making the decision that impacts like a lot of people or maybe the way we do things. It's like I have like a group of a few people, but they are sometimes from different fields regarding entrepreneurship on different levels. They are even outside of tech, right? But I really respect and like their opinions and how they think, and I crash my decision making with them. Even once I had that psychotherapist, right? And I went to her like, and we made like a 4 session, and she helped me a lot. And I was like amazed because she was just listening what I'm saying. I'm talking about the business, how I structure the company, how I structure the teams, like how do we work. And she has no clue about doing the business. But at the same time, she's listening what I'm saying. And it's a lot about working with people and how to approach and your mindset that you don't see from the outside, how you're making the decision making. So she helped me to structureize the setup of the team, like completely outside of the box. The same when I'm talking with the guests of the podcast, a lot of them are saying like, because I'm asking about that, and I will ask you the same question, to be honest, about like some books or resources, conferences that have been particularly influential on them, right? What they have learned all of it. And a lot of them start with the sentence like, hey, maybe this will surprise you, but the book that influenced me, it's not about the tech, right? It's about the Stoics. It's about like Mark Aurelius. It's like philosophy, like something, but this has influence on us.
Yes, true. This is actually quite interesting. One of the books that like it changed my perspective on how you talk to people is actually, I think it's called how to win friends or something.
How to make friends and influence people. Daniel Carter, one of my favorite.
I read it like 5 years ago or maybe 6 years ago. I still have a copy at home, but that thing's actually changed my perspective about how to deal with people, especially. And This is one of the book. The other book is actually called Thinking in Systems, because when you are dealing with people, people are systems, as like, especially when you're dealing with teams and you are a leader, you need to think in matter of systems and how the system, they influence each other. I can give you a third book, is actually one of the bestseller, and I like it a lot, who is actually Thinking Fast and Slow. I think you know about the book. Yeah, that book is actually incredible about how they did the experience and how they found about the two systems. The system is actually lazy, but in the same time very pragmatic and very like the one who is actually thinking, let's say, and the other who is actually very fast, but in the same time it's intuitive. And how these two systems inside your mind, they are influencing each other, and it's really very, very interesting book. I think I recommend it for any person, not only techies. Any person should read that book, because there is a lot of insight in that book that can be taken in real life. The other thing that usually when somebody is asking about something, when people try to understand the concept, don't ask people. Go to the founder of the concept, buy his book, or read his blog, so we can get the essence of that book. Why? Because always in my head, when somebody try to read about something, about the one person that didn't, let's say, create that, it's like asking somebody about let's say, a movie that you've seen. Go see the movie, and then from there, you can ask other people about their opinion, so you can see different. But go see the movie so you can get the essence yourself, and then from there you can start like discussing with others to see how they've seen the movie. What are the part that maybe you didn't see about the movie? What are their perspective about the cast, about the actors, about the let's say the actors. So, and there it's becoming interesting conversation, because you have already your opinion and you add to them. Going back to making decision, I like to go back to that. So one of the things that I learned the hard way is, like, when you are a leader or you become a leader, talk less, listen more, and never take a decision before hearing all the people around you that gonna be impacted by that decision. What I'm trying to say is, like, even if you know for sure for that you're gonna make that decision, give them space so they can share their thoughts, because maybe there is some few things that you don't know. And in the same time, you give power to your team, actually. When you do that, they know that their opinion is valued, and they know for sure that even if you take the decision, you take it based also in their input. This is one thing. The other thing, if there is like a conflict, when I say like for taking decision, don't worry about that. Pick up one of them. But always make sure that that decision, or maybe most of the decisions that you take, are reversible. So what I'm trying to say is, like, a decision can be good or bad, and can also be good or bad depending on that context, on that specific, let's say, day. But in a few years, maybe that decision going to be wrong because the context changed and a lot of stuff have changed. In some places, you need to take decision. So take the decision, but make sure that it can be reversible. So what is interesting is creating a process that can reverse the decision. So that's why most of the people, they tend to focus on learning curve, because they say that, how can I go and do that stuff and getting a faster feedback so I can switch my decision if needed to be. And this is actually the principle of reversible decision. So we need always to have as much as possible reversible decision. Why? Because at some point you need to take a decision, take the wrong one, that's okay, but you can then make it reversible, so you can change it in any days after that.
I think Amazon popularized this concept, right? About,
Yes.
that
I think yes.
is this decision is irreversible. So a lot of amazing tips, Khaled. And you mentioned the thing about the first one, about the meetings and like being silent on the meetings. So this was the lesson I learned 2 or 3 years ago. So as a leader, you want to delegate, you want to have the leaders, and you want to people inside the organization to communicate and make the decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as a co-founder, it's very tempting because you know the organization, you are thinking really fast, you made a lot of decisions, so probably you could make the decision 10 times faster because you know more context, right? But in this way, if you are making the decision, then the company is dependent on you so much, right? But you want to create the system. So I had the rule that I'm going to the meeting and I shut up. So I don't say any more. And after a while, like people started to kick me out of the meetings, out of the channels on the Slack, right? Because you are not needed anymore. And I think this is the best, and this is the goal as a leader that you want to get, right?
Exactly. Also, there is also another aspect about that, why you should, because when you go up in the hierarchy, your words have more power. So you need to be very careful when you use them. Like what I'm trying to say is like when you are talking to a coworker, you can't talk the same way to somebody who is actually like when you are a leader of the team, because there is a barrier, and in the same time, sometimes when you argue about something, he can't answer you back because of the hierarchy. You need to create some safe space for people to do that. So it's like never, let's say, don't tell people to do something, ask them to do, and make it for them. So even if you ask them to do that, they know that for sure they can argue about your decision. And that's very cool, because when people really trust you, they're going to start arguing about like challenging you for the decision. And that's cool. If they are challenging you, it means that they trust you and they care about the product and they care about the company. And this is really very, very important to create as a space, as a culture of a company, so you can be sure that, like you said, it's going to be a system that is working by itself without you influencing it. Influencing it maybe in some places, but it will still work if you take like 1 month of vacation or something, because everybody knows what it needs to be done. I remember that somebody done that metaphor about founders. He say if the company is a car, the founder should be the one who is actually switching let's say pieces if there is a piece that is not working, and that's all, because the car is already working by itself. And what is going to be true more and more with Tesla right now, with the system, with the AI system, we hope so. But yeah, you got my point about the metaphor actually about that. So building systems that work by themselves, that's actually very interesting. And I remember actually also one of the co-founders, he said that attaining some number of employees, well, the CEO doesn't know what to do anymore, because everything is actually working by itself. So
I would just recall to one thing that you said about the Daniel, that's How to Win Friends and Influence People book. This is interesting regarding the operating system, how like we deal between the people, because this book is, I think, like 70 or 60 years old, and it's still valid because it's still the way how the people interact with each other, make the decisions, get angry, like somebody. It's like the same kind of thing. So it didn't change so much, and you still can apply it wherever you are. But the last question that I wanted to ask you, because like we talk about a lot about the experiences that you already have, but we are constantly learning as a people. So on the tech part, I assume you always follow like the trends and that kind of stuff. But are there any pain points, challenges on which you work currently, or you educate yourself?
Well, there is what I say is like, what I see is like, where there is a pain point, or let's say when you are outside of your comfort zone, you are in a learning zone. So that's a good thing. Even if it's not really very comfortable sometimes, but for sure you are learning something. But if you stay in the same space with the same stuff, doing the same things, well, let's say an AI can replace you at some point right now. So the idea is like, yes, there is pain point. So for example, I can give you one of the issue that I have like a few weeks back. Is like I'm discovering right now how to reach out customer by myself, because usually I delegate that to somebody else, and it's not easy. But I'm discovering the world of the sales. So now I have some kind of sales who is actually coaching me how I should approach customer, how I should like talk to them. When I say customers, I mean in very specific area, because when my customer is a techie, it's easy. When your customer is something else, it's another word, right? So you need to figure it out how to approach them. And it's not easy. These are actually was like, but now it's becoming less of a pain point, because, and I need to figure it out something else so I can learn something new, you know. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is like, and this is the advice that I give mostly to techies. Let's remove the image that most of the people they have about us techies. Somebody who's actually a nerd, staying alone, doesn't talk to people, always playing games after coding, or maybe always being at home and always having delivery food and all the stuff, doesn't go out. It's not true. The techies of today, they should be more versatile than that. And our work is not actually about only the code, is actually bringing value to people. That's a big difference. So if you are only building code, doesn't make sense that you are not like contributing to the society as a person. But taking that and let's say sharing with others, and especially if you are a senior leader, is like even better, because you can teach people and you can mentor people on that. So it's like you can bring more value than you think about that. And this is actually the best that you can do, is like creating company, managing company, and then maybe mentoring people to do that, mentoring people to take executive level suite for the future. Do it like you, at some point the community helped you, so why not give back to the community? And I'm not talking about only the tech communities, can be also any type of community that helped you to do what you do today.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Khaled. It was extremely insightful talk. For the first time, I haven't used the questions that I had prepared. So it was a lot of interesting topic that we could probably continue over another hour. But thanks for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me today.
Follow Matt on LinkedIn and subscribe to the Better Tech Leadership newsletter.